The idea sounds like magic, a bold, almost poetic ambition. We aim to hold a little piece of the sun on Earth. But this is not poetry. It is a real plan, a blueprint for a new kind of power. For decades, we've harnessed nuclear energy by splitting heavy atoms apart, a process called fission. It's powerful, but it leaves behind long-lived radioactive waste. This new plan is different. It's the opposite. Instead of splitting things, we're joining them. We take the lightest elements in the universe and fuse them together. People call it fusion. The name is small, the hope is huge. It asks for fuels that sound simple because they are. They're special, heavy versions of hydrogen called deuterium and tritium. Deuterium is abundant, found in every drop of seawater, and tritium can be created from lithium, a common light metal. But to make them join, we have to recreate the conditions found at the center of a star. It needs heat beyond any furnace ever built, over 100 million degrees Celsius, hotter than the core of the sun itself. It needs immense pressure, squeezing these atoms together until they have no choice but to overcome their natural repulsion and become one. If we can sustain this reaction, it promises a giant gift, a source of clean, safe, and virtually limitless energy for all of humanity. No carbon emissions, no long-lived nuclear waste, just pure power, forged from the same process that makes the stars shine. You're watching IfVerse. If this sparks a thought, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's build this future together. The physics is, at its heart, beautifully simple. Fusion joins two small atoms into one. The new combined atom weighs just a tiny fraction less than the two that made it. That missing piece, that tiny sliver of mass, doesn't just disappear, it erupts into a tremendous amount of energy. That is the gift. That is the fire we are trying to bring down to Earth. At its heart, the promise of fusion is the promise of clean energy. An energy source that, if we get it right, could fundamentally reshape our world. It does not burn oil or coal. It produces no greenhouse gases, and the fuel it uses is derived from water, one of the most abundant resources on Earth. To understand the challenge, think of fusion like baking a very special kind of bread. You start with your ingredients, two tiny atomic nuclei, like two small dough balls. Your goal is to press them together so forcefully that they merge into one, creating a new, heavier nucleus. This process releases an enormous amount of energy. That's your warm loaf. But to make it happen, you need three critical things. First, you need an incredibly hot oven. In fusion, the oven is a chamber heated to over 100 million degrees Celsius, hotter than the core of the sun. Second, you need immense pressure. The push must be extreme enough to overcome the natural repulsion between the positively charged nuclei. And third, you need to hold those conditions for long enough. Time. Heat, pressure, and time. This is the fundamental recipe for fusion, a set of conditions known as the Lawson criterion. The central challenge, then, is building a machine, a container, that can achieve and sustain this recipe without melting. Scientists and engineers around the world are building these special machines, and they are pursuing several ingenious designs at once. One of the leading approaches uses powerful magnetic fields. At these temperatures, the fuel isn't a gas, but a plasma, a turbulent, electrically charged state of matter. Because plasma is charged, it can be shaped and controlled by magnets. In a donut-shaped machine called a tokamak, powerful superconducting magnets create a twisting field, a magnetic bottle that holds the searingly hot plasma away from the chamber walls. A variation on this is the stellarator, which uses an even more complex, twisted set of external coils to achieve a more stable plasma shape, hoping to confine it for longer periods. Another approach is completely different. Instead of holding the plasma steady, it aims for a momentary, colossal burst of energy. This is called inertial confinement. Here, incredibly powerful lasers, up to 192 of them, are all fired at once, focused on a tiny pellet of fuel smaller than a peppercorn. The outer layer of the pellet vaporizes, creating a rocket-like implosion that crushes the fuel inside, generating the immense heat and pressure needed for fusion in a fleeting instant. In recent years, teams using both methods have seen real gains. For the first time, experiments have crossed a critical threshold known as Q greater than 1. This is the break-even point, where the fusion reaction produces more energy than was put in to start it. The loaf, for a brief moment, generated more warmth than the oven consumed. It's a monumental milestone, but significant challenges remain. The materials lining the reactor must withstand a constant barrage of high-energy neutrons released by the fusion reaction. The superconducting magnets, which must be kept at temperatures colder than deep space, operate just meters away from the hottest plasma in the solar system. And one of the key fuel ingredients, a hydrogen isotope called tritium, is extremely rare. Future power plants will need to breed their own tritium inside the reactor itself, a complex cycle that is still being perfected. Yet, hope is spread across countless labs and teams, from huge international collaborations to nimble private firms. Data is shared, ideas are tested, and with each experiment, the path toward a fusion-powered future becomes a little clearer. The machine is being built, piece by painstaking piece. If fusion works, the world doesn't change overnight. The transformation is gradual, almost imperceptible at first. But look closely and you'll see the foundations of our daily lives beginning to shift. Cities, the great hubs of human activity, would be the first to feel this quiet revolution. The very air we breathe would start to clear as the smoky signature of fossil fuels begins to fade from the skyline. The most visible change would be the power plants themselves. Instead of sprawling complexes dominating the landscape, fusion plants could be smaller, more discreet, and far cleaner. They would produce immense, steady heat and power, day and night, without releasing greenhouse gases. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about reliability. No more dark hours from fuel shortages, no more dependency on weather conditions. Just a constant, predictable flow of energy. Think of what that means for critical infrastructure. For a hospital, it's the unwavering certainty that life support systems will never falter. For a semiconductor factory, it's the flawless, uninterrupted manufacturing of the chips that run our digital world. This level of stability would ripple outwards, strengthening every sector of the economy. Our electrical grids would need upgrades to handle this new, powerful baseline, but they would become more robust than ever, carrying a steady, reliable current that banishes the flicker of uncertainty. Homes would see fewer blackouts, and the hum of the modern world would become a sound of assurance, not anxiety. Of course, this energy transition is also a human one. Jobs would inevitably shift. The difficult, dangerous work in coal mines would give way to new roles in technology and engineering. This isn't about erasing old ways of life, but about building new opportunities. New skills in materials, science, robotics, and control systems would spread through towns, creating resilient local economies built on innovation. I met a technician in a coastal town that had seen its share of economic ups and downs. She fixed wind turbines, a job she was proud of, but she hoped for a more permanent change. She spoke of her children and her desire for them to breathe cleaner air, to have stable, high-skilled work available right there, in the community they loved. She smiled at the idea of new local work, of a future where her town wasn't just surviving, but thriving. To prepare, she learned code in the evenings and honed her skills in metalwork. On weekends, she trains young apprentices, passing on her knowledge. Together, they imagine a future with steady, abundant power.
A future where they don't have to choose between the environment and the economy, where they don't have to lose their land to giant mines or sprawling industrial sites. Her story is small and true, but it's a powerful reminder of what's at stake. It shows how energy isn't just an abstract concept of grids and megawatts. It touches every part of life, shaping our health, our work, and our hopes for the next generation.
We have little time to act. The climate does not wait for lab wins. Fossil fuels still run many things today, so we must reduce harm now and build for later. Fusion is not a quick cure. It may take years to scale up. We must use every clean tool we have. Fusion should arrive as part of a wider plan. Hope comes with hard work and care. We must be patient but steady, you know. What does it mean to capture a star? We have power to shape the planet now. That power brings duty and choice. We must choose what future we want. Fusion lets us think long. We may free more people from drudgery, we may face new risks we must manage. Our children will judge what we built. A small technology can change many lives. We must hold that change with both hands. Fusion is simple in idea. It is very hard in practice. It asks for patience, money, minds, and care. It asks for wise hands and honest rulers. If it works, it could be a great gift. It could warm cities. It could cool the air. It could free time for art. It could free time for care. It could let children watch stars, not smoke. Risk is real. Hope is real too. Let us try. Let us also steer. A small sun for our cities. If we can hold it, we must hold it well. You've been watching IfVerse. Subscribe for more mind-bending realities.